Good morning, good afternoon to everyone, and welcome to our session. Today we talk about the future of cloud protection. So you will learn about OCI ZPR, a new functionality in OCI. My name is Violeta. Today I'm happy to be joined by Ejaz and Vicky, who will be your speakers for this event. Vicky, Ejaz, would you like to show up and say a few things about yourself?
Hi, good morning.
Okay.
Thanks, Colin. So my name is Vikram. I'm part of the cloud networking specialist team here at Oracle in EMEA. So glad to be here.
Thanks, Ijaz. My name is Vikram. People call me Vicky, as you can see on the call. I manage the networking team responsible for the EMEA business.
Thank you, guys. So an important note regarding the demo, because of course we've prepared a very nice demo for today. So bear in mind that the data we are using in these demos are purely fictive, and they are not showcasing any real case or any real use case we might be working on. Also, regarding the recordings that you might want to watch in the future, bear in mind that there might be some slightly differences in the Cloud Console menu because our products are enhanced on a regular basis. And if I'm not wrong, there is now a new console look and feel that is coming soon. For some of you, might be already there, but for some of you did not. So keep that in mind and enjoy the session, and feel free to put questions whenever you want. With that, I'm done. Ejaz, over to you.
Thank you, Violeta. Okay, I suppose you guys can see my screen.
Yes.
So just a quick safe harbor statement, just for the housekeeping about the products and what we're talking today here. So let me take you first to a bit of what we are seeing, especially from security perspective, what is happening in and around for a lot of customers, a lot of misconfigurations, which cause a decent percentage of cyber instances. Likewise, what we have been seeing in the research, that a lot of unsecured databases being attacked, right? At the same time, misconfigured databases has been targeted after even as they're deployed. So there's a lot of stuff which is around us happening now, and the main kind of message in is the misconfiguration and why that misconfiguration really comes into. So I wanted to give you a bit of insight into how we are looking in from network architecture and the network security, how they actually both work together to fulfill each goal we have got from network perspective as well as from the security perspective. So traditionally, we know for the network, we want those massive highways between resources. We want minimum blockages. We want minimum of the, if I say in more technical term, the latency, and we want higher bandwidth. So we can go anywhere, everywhere, and anytime without any failures. And that's really how we tend to design our networks. You guys are very familiar with that. Whereas when you look into the security goals, the key thing is, okay, we've got to be very specific. Who's talking to what, why, and how? And that's where you see that there will be blockages, there will be ports. Again, if I turn into more of a traditional networking thing, the ports are closed, the routes are very specific. And what becomes basically a trade-off, which we see between the security goals and the network goals as the architectures evolve. So misconfigurations, the trade-offs, and then let me quickly give you an insight, and what is the zero trust, right? So zero trust architectures are the fundamental of any architecture now being built from security perspective. Oracle, OCI has been pioneering with all the services free of cost within the cloud platform available for you to configure and make sure that you have got the zero trust enabled within the architecture. So what is the zero trust? Just to recap, so people, services, and devices, right? How do we make sure that only authorized people talk to very limited kind of data and access with the least privileges where they are required? Network microsegmentation also comes into the whole of zero trust architecture. The key thing is this brings complexity, and that's why we see misconfigurations or we see those architectural trade-offs. So what Oracle has really brought up quite recently, which we are talking about today, is zero trust packet routing. So prevent unauthorized access of data by managing network security policies based on separated from the network architecture. And that's what zero trust packet routing provides you. Using an easily and intent-based policy language, which the security administrators can also define and have those pathways for the data. And that's quite key because you are bringing the complexity which is already in configurations, which is where the misconfiguration comes in, out of this by introducing zero trust packet routing. And in short, we also call it ZPR, right? So what are the kind of benefits? What we are getting from here? And you will see this in more details. And trust me, I'm not going to take you a lot of PowerPoint today, but you'll see in action that how simply we can just define policies where the data, the resources are tagged again very simply to provide you that security, which is compliance, which you can even track, as well as it gives you much more flexibility from expansions, for example. You don't have to go back and rejig your security policies. So Oracle has been doing this since 2023 with the initiative taken with Applied Invention, and other organizations like ZPR.org to actually develop this. And we're very proud to present this as a first true ZPR implementation available within the Oracle Cloud platform. And as I said, in the next demo, you will see how easily you can adapt to it. So before we get into that, I just want to go through with high level that how do you approach it, and especially from if you're already within OCI, you're very familiar with security lists, NSGs and stuff. So the three simple steps. The first thing is to establish your security models, which is typically saying that what, where, how you want things to talk to. Again, going back to that trust, zero trust, we saw the actual architecture. And then you just define your policies, basically. And within the security model, you can create things like namespace and the security attributes. And the ZPR policies are where you actually combine those to write those very simple syntax actual policies to be applied. And you'll see that in a demo. And then finally, you apply those attributes by applying them onto the resources which you want to control them. The other thing I want to highlight, as I said, this is the first cloud provider from OCI perspective, giving the true ZPR. In the first stage, we've gone GA from 1st of October. The following resources are currently supported, which is your compute, instance types, databases, almost all the database services from Oracle, networking, as well as the network load balancers, just so you're aware of when you're trying to play with them yourself. The other thing I've got here for you, just to give you a bit of a differentiation, right? So currently you have got security lists, as you know, out of box. You get them, they get applied onto the subnet and VCN level. You can't enable, disable them. That's kind of where they sit. And they've got some limitations in terms of you can have 5 per subnet. And then you've got network security groups, which are applied to selected VNICs within a VCN. Again, that gives you a bit more of a specific, security posture. You can enable, disable from the VNIC pages themselves. And again, 5 of NSGs per VNIC. Now, the zero trust packet routing, that gives you to have selected resources, so VNICs, as we saw before, anymore in a single VCN and more VCNs. You can enable, disable security attributes, so more flexibilities, and maximum of 3 security attributes per resources is currently what you can apply on that. So I think that's a quite good chart to give you a bit of overview of how you are actually applying those 3 in conjunction and what are the values. So this is my last slide in terms of, again, what you can apply and which method of security you can use. As we said, that the actual security lists are across subnet and VCN. NSGs, you can be more specific from the VCN to the VNICs, but that can sit along with the security list. And the zipper policy can also be layered on top of those 2, or you can just apply zipper policy as on its own, basically. There's a link there. Please do look at it. It's a landing page of giving the zero trust packet routing overview. I think it's really key for you to look at it before you start playing with it. With that, I'm going to hand over to Vicky for the demonstration. Thank you.
Thank you, Jaz. Thanks for that intro. Let's now deep dive into the actual demo itself. I'm pretty sure now everyone is excited to see how it actually works in reality. Today we are going to cover about 3 different scenarios, just for you to get a flavor of how Zipper works and how it can help you to start creating zero trust cloud applications. Now, for the first scenario which I want to walk through is the application level security. This is no brainer. You have a typical the end goal is to make sure you have a certain path for each different application users. So you have application A and application B. In an ideal world, you want users of application A to use application A and users of application B to use application B, right? At the same time, you want your databases to be also aligned. So database A aligned to application A, database B aligned to application B, right? Without Zipper, you can do that by having the right routing policies, but it gives you a slight exposure of misconfigurations, and we'll see how Zipper can help you in those scenarios. In this particular diagram, we have depicted a firewall, but for the sake of simplicity, we have taken it out in the actual demo. But you will get the idea once you see the demo. Firewall without firewall, the flow remains the same. The second scenario which we want to cover is purely from a database operations perspective, right? We want database ops guys to come in via the Bastion servers, do their respective updates to the databases. Most importantly, we want them to be restricted, right? You want them to come from a trusted source, and you want that to be locked down in your own network. So that's a second scenario which we will walk through today. And the third scenario is once you have your application up and running, and when you start going left and right, where you start creating or expanding your workloads, what is the risk of having a misconfiguration, and how Zipper actually helps you to make sure the overall security posture is maintained. So these are the 3 different scenarios. We'll go one by one. We'll start with scenario 1, and now we'll look at the console itself. So I'm mentioning it as Zipper. As you can see, zero trust packet routing, we refer it as Zipper. The way to access that is go to hamburger menu and identity and security. Under that, you will see zero trust packet routing, and you see several options. We'll walk through each of those options now. The first thing which I want to call out is you see a button, because by default it's not enabled in your tenancies, because we don't want your existing workloads to break, because you have not planned your ZPR configurations yet, right? So once you have it, you have plans to implement in your respective workloads, you click on enable ZPR and it takes a couple of seconds to activate that in your tenancy. It's a one-time activity, and this is the home page where you can see the button. And there are other things which refers to the documentation as well. I want to call out these steps to get started. I think Ijaz was mentioning there are 3 different steps when we talk about ZPR. One is establish security model, right? You have a particular security posture on paper, and then you translate that in step 2 by creating your own ZPR policies. And the third step, and the most important step where you can actually play around, is the ZPR attributes. The way you apply those ZPR attributes to the respective OCI resources where you want them to be safeguarded under ZPR, right? So this is the home page. Let's walk through each one of those different options which you have got here. First one being security attribute namespace. This is nothing but a simple container, right? So it's very easy to create. All you have to do is, select your compartment, give it a name, give it a description, and click on create, right? So it's as simple as that. What it does is you can create high level compartments. I'm saying compartments, but you can imagine the as a container of sub attributes or sub security attributes under it, right? Right now we have already planned our security model for the demo. We have a scenario of applications being secured, so we have created an application namespace, and we have created ops namespace so that we can showcase the second scenario which I was talking about, right? Under that, when you click on one of these namespace, you can create multiple security attributes, right? And again, this is very easy. We have created some. I'll walk through some of that which we have created already, but the steps to create is very simple. You click on security attribute, you give it a name, give it a description, and then you have 2 options to select here. One is you can say I want it to be a static one. What do you mean by that is, when I start applying the security attributes to the actual OCI resources, I want to decide what value I want to give, right? What segmentation I want to give, right? And the second option which I've got here is I want to log down the number of values anyone can give it to a particular OCI security attribute, right? So in this example, I could say application A can be one of the valid value, application B can be a valid value, application C can be a value, right? So that means when you create this attribute, you are logged down to all the values which are listed down here at the time of creation. And the other option which I said is, keep it free, right? You want the users to decide what kind of segmentation they want to do. I want to underline something. When Ijaz was talking about zero trust, he mentioned the word micro segmentation of the network, which remains the cornerstone of zero trust for any application. And the values and the security attributes which we have at the time of, which you attach at the time of OCI resources, is what helps you to create micro segmentation of the network. So this is the trick where we create security attributes and we give them a value so that it creates a micro segmentation of the network. We'll see that in action. You will see how it works. But this is the differentiator where it helps you create the micro segmentation of the actual network. Now, in this particular example, we have created. Ijaz was showing what are the different types of OCI services ZPR supports currently. We do support NLB, VCNs, actual VM instances, databases. So we have created each one of those, right? And you also see that the value type, right? So most of them have the value as list, except VCN where we want the value to be a string, and we'll see it in the demo how it actually works. Let me also show you one of these attribute and see what kind of values we have given, right? So the NLB description says application LLBs. It's a list of values, and the valid values are application A and application B. right? So we have locked down the values which can be given to this particular security attribute. So I hope you understood what is a namespace and a security attribute. Now let's move on to quickly move on to policies, right? And this is where a kind of magic happens. So we spoke about NSGs, we spoke about security lists, right? Now this is IAM policies are there, which are primarily working at layer 7 of the network, right? But now zipper policies are something which works at layer 4, right? So what I do is we have created multiple policies. We'll walk through the actual policies itself, but I want to show you how to create a policy. You click on create policy, give it a name, give your description, and when you want to add a policy statement, there are multiple ways of doing it. Let me do a quick, this is the name, test policy is the description, and when I want to do a policy statement, I have 3 different options. One is I can use the default policy template builder, which helps me to create policies by itself, right? So let's say I want to take a compute instance and I want to make sure it is accessible from other compute instances, or I can say I want to make sure people can SSH to that particular instance. And voila, the entire policy statement is given on a platter in a particular template. You have to, of course, fill in the blanks with the actual security attribute names, which are represented in this statement, but it's auto-generated for you. So this is one of the ways where you can add policy. The second option is to use a simple policy builder where you can build each one of those policy attributes and mention your VCN names and all that. The third one is a manual one, right? Where I have to key in all the policies which I want to create in this particular policy statements. So let's talk about one of these examples. There are certain examples which are quoted here. I'm taking one of that. The syntax is quite simple. Right now, zipper works at a VCN level. So in this example, we are saying in security attribute. The way you refer to a security attribute is from the root, which is your namespace. So in this example, we are saying VCN network is a security attribute and the value of that is a database, which is DB. That's the value. So in this particular VCN, we want a database client to connect to a DB server. That's it. This is what we are saying. In this particular VCN, the database client needs to have access to database server. But the micro segmentation which I was talking about is the value which is quoted here. So they want, wherever the resources are tagged as application 1 or app 1, you are actually allowing only those systems to talk to each other, right? So the second example is something similar, but you can actually go granular, and this is why we call it as packet routing, because it works at a network layer. So we can actually do a filter at a protocol layer, and you also can mention the range of ports which you want to use it. You can either say I want to use only one port, which can be 999 in this case, or I can say I'm okay as long as you come between this particular range, right? So you can mention that. Again, the syntax is quite simple to understand. The third example is again very unique. We'll not get into that example in this particular demo, but it gives you an idea. If you want to mention a particular CIDR range, right? You can do that as well beyond the particular security attributes which you have attached to your OCI resources in your respective tenancy. You can go beyond your console as well, right? So this is one of the examples. So I'll say, let's say, I'm just picking this one, right? As an example, I mention that, and I click on add, and it gets added, right? And then I can go edit it. I can add second statement, right? I can go back and forth until I am sure that I can create multiple statements within this policy, and then I click on create, right? I'm not doing so because we have created that already, right? We'll walk through this once we get to the actual policies itself. Now the last option which you got under zipper menu is protected resources. So this is one way of you going and understanding what are the different OCI's resources where I've already got it tagged. For example, I'm just picking apps here. So there are certain attributes which are, this is the attribute which are filtered, and I've got all the resources. Some are VNIX, some are database systems, some are VM instances. These particular OCI resources are tagged already. So I can do a filter. This is one way of looking at it in this screen. The other way is I want to add certain resources to certain security attributes. So what I do is I do a filter on the compartment which you're looking into. I do a filter on certain resource types. We have this standard resource types already supported by ZPR. I just say, right, DB systems, and I've got all the DB systems being filtered. I can pick one of them, click next, and then I pick my security namespace and the corresponding attribute. I give it a value 1, value 2, value 3, right? And if it is something like a security list, this one, it will give you auto-populated values because we have already listed down as a security list, right? So you can select one of that and say next, and it gives you a overview of what you have selected, what kind of resources you want to add the security list to, and click on submit. As simple as that, right? So this is one of the screens where you can, in one place, you can add multiple security attributes to multiple resources, or you can also do a filter search and see at a security namespace view, right? So this is how you use this particular screen. There's a second way of doing adding a security attribute to resources, which is a direct one, right? Let me show you how it is done. Let me go back to load balancer, and we have created a load balancer already. In this case, I'll show you how it is done. So you pick the OCI resource, any OCI resource for that matter, go to the security tab, and you already see something called a security attribute. So this is another place where you can go and edit and play around with your security attributes. So right now we have already added the security attributes. So you can either go, I can change it to B, and then it gets saved, as simple as that. So there are two options. One is to use the protected resources screen. The second option is to go to the actual OCI resource, go to the security tab, and then attach your security attribute, right? So that's how it goes. So coming back to the scenarios, right? I'm pretty sure you want to really test it out. You understand how things go now. So we'll talk about scenario 1. I've showed you, it's a simple case. I have a user coming in, and they go to one of these NLBs, and we want to make sure it's actually getting from the NLB, it goes to the application A, and hence to the database A, right? And we want this entire network path to be locked down to the actual user. So in this case, we have NLB A, which is created, which is the value is application A. I want to also show you how things work at the VCN level. If you go to VCNs, we've got just one VCN created. Same thing, you go to the security tab, and this is again, right? This is unlike your other attributes. This is a free text one, which is a string. So I can actually give any value. In this case, the value which we have given is a spoke VCN. I can say 1, 2, 3 as well, right? But it affects the demo because we have created the policy with the same name. But it gives you an idea about how to use both the variations of the security attributes here, right? So the VCN is already tagged. Namespace is app. The actual attribute name is VCN, and the value is spoke VCN, right? Very important. And the third thing which I want to show is the database, and we've created a base database here. We have two databases, one for application A and one for application B. Both the databases, again, you will see app DB is a security attribute and the value is app A. Similarly, you can see the IP addresses for these applications. So sorry, databases, security attribute, application B, similar thing, right? So you have seen all the attributes being attached to each one of these OCI resources. Now let's see where the magic happens. The magic happens in the policies. So you go to policy screen, and I want to pick one of these policies. Let's say ZPR app A is a policy name, right? I've showed you how to create a policy. In this case, you can edit a policy because it's already written down. All we have done is simple thing, right? We want anyone to connect to our NLB, through TCP/22, right, through SSH. So that's the first policy. In app VCN, spoke VCN, this is the value, remember that, right? In this VCN, we want anyone, this is the keyword, all endpoints, to connect to application A with this protocol, right? That's number one. Number two, we also want in the same VCN, we want application A to connect to, we want NLB to connect to application A, again through SSH, right? And we also want application A to connect to database A, again TCP 1521, right? Now the fourth one is again it's something which you can use for housekeeping. If you want any of your VMs to do some kind of a patch update, software patch update, you typically don't want them to go to the internet, so you can use your backbone, OCI backbone, to attach pull in your VM repositories and things like that. So that's the reason we have configured the OSN service IP addresses. So the first one is an access to NLB from any port. The second and third is all about NLB connecting to application A and application connecting to the database A. And the fourth one is if you are doing any kind of software updates from the instance, you can use the backbone itself, right? So this is how it is. Let's get to the demo. Let's try to see how we can actually connect to the NLB, right? So I use a client. I'm pretty sure many people use putties and terminals. I use this client called Royal TSX. I've already got it configured just so that we can do it quickly, right? So this is an SSH terminal. This is the IP address. Let me show you quickly. Where is NLB? So now we are trying to target NLB A, and this is IP address which is configured here. I've got username OPC, my private key already configured, right? So all I do is I try to do a SSH, right? And it works because I'm logged in. It goes straight. Going back to the slide, the user, which is me, is able to go to the NLB and straight to the application A because it's configured that way, because the policy is configured that way, right? And then we also want to test if application, this particular instance, is able to talk to database A, right? So let's do the quick check. Let's try to do a telnet maybe. Let's go to console. I'll go to database. Application A. Let's pick up the IP address, right? This is the private IP address. So I do a telnet now. Telnet 21. See, it's connected, right? So because that's how it's configured, we want application A to go to database B, right? Now I do the same thing with the database, other database. So we have two databases, right? We have application B database, and I pick up the IP from here. Let's try to run the same command. Doesn't work. We got it locked down, right? We want application A to talk to only application database A, not to database B, right? And that's how you see ZPR in action. ZPR doesn't allow, right? And this is one of the examples which I want to showcase. You can also try to do the other way, right? For example, I do the same test. I go from user B, right, which is me. I can go to straight application B and then go to instance B and then database B. I can do that quick test. I've got it configured. SSH, this is the other NLB IP, application B. Credentials are configured. If I do that, I go straight. But then if I try to do the same command, I'm trying to connect to, doesn't work. So I'm in application B now, trying to connect to application A, doesn't work. But I try to do using application database B, it should work. See, it's connected. So this is in a nutshell how ZPR works in this particular scenario. I'm moving on to the second scenario, which is an ops based infra, right? So in this case, now you got the gist of it, you get the drift. I'll go very quick on this one. We want database operations guys to come straight to the database, not go anywhere else, so that they can do their software updates, right? And for that, we have a jump server, which is a VM Bastion server there. So in this case, I quickly go to instances. We have we have the ops instance already up. You can see the security tag namespace is ops, the security attribute name is ops VM, and the actual value is VM, right? So please make a note of that, and everything else remains the same. So there is no change to the actual setup. So let's go to the policies here. And this is the policy which you have created. Very simple thing. Let me show you the slide and then I'll tell you what's going on here, right? First thing, we want this to be restricted by your trusted IP. In this case, I've configured to my own machine's IP. So this is my home address and I've locked it to my PC's IP. And if I want to make sure I'm connected to my security attribute, which is ops VM. And we have seen that tag to the Bastion server, which is created on the console. The second set of instructions are simple. From the VM, we want them to go to database A on both the ports. So I can do that on port 22 as well as 1521. The second set of statements are, I can also go to database B. So I can access both the databases on both the ports, which is 22 and 1521. So this is simple policy statement which we have. And again, just to get the things done very quickly, I've configured this ops machine. This is the IP address of the VM. Let me quickly show that for you. Instances. Yeah, see, this is a public IP. So I've configured that. Credentials are configured. My private key is configured. So I'll quickly do a double click. I'm already in. So it goes straight to my Bastion server. Now let me do a telnet to the databases. So this is the first database A. Oops. See, it's connected, right? So that's one. I can also do that on port 22, right? Yes, it works because we have configured both 1521 and 22 in the demo. I want to also test database B because we have configured for that as well. So this is first one, works here, no issues, and 22 should go through easy peasy. Okay, so this is how it is. You see the scenario. We have locked down to a particular IP address, which you have seen in the policy. We go to the jump server, we go straight to the databases, and we can do the software updates, right? So this is one way of locking it down to a particular trusted source from using your ZPR policies. The third one is a simple one. Again, this is where I think Vijay was talking about misconfigurations a lot, right? Now you have an existing setup, your security is configured, tried and tested, everything, life is easy. But and as you go along, things are changing, you want new instances coming up, new databases coming up. Without ZPR, if I bring in a new VM, which I will in this particular demo, right? I create a new instance. So that means because your routing is already configured in an ideal way, right? It goes to NLBs, it goes to your, it has all the routing to your application subnet. Hence the new VM will also have access to databases, right? Which shouldn't happen because I have not configured, I have not actually mentioned where it needs to have access, right? So this is where ZPR makes sure that there is a certain amount of validation happening against your security model, which you have it on paper, right? And this is how you can also plan workflows where if there's a change in your infra, it goes through a certain workflow to make sure all the right attributes are added using the power of ZPR here, right? So I'll quickly show you what's happening. So we'll go to this new VM, which is VM app a new, right? In this case, it's a brand new one, so you will not see any security attributes. I want to also show you how do you actually create a particular security, attach a particular attribute. So I've selected the namespace, which is app, and then I want that to be a VM. Okay, so if you have the right IAM policies already enabled, it will be, you can go ahead and attach it to that. And going back to where we were, you can then configure that to your respective scenario 3. Yeah, you have it configured with your new security attribute, and then you can have one of these NLBs configured to make sure it is added as a backend, and then rest of the flow is same as what we have seen in scenario 1 and 2, right? So there's no change, just that this is one of the ways where you are trying to bring in some change into your existing architecture, and it is making sure that you are following the existing security model which you have already created as part of your ZPR process. So I hope you should probably realize the value of it and start thinking use cases, how you can actually plan your security model around it. So this is what I had in terms of demo. I'll hand it over to Vio.
Thank you, Vicky. Many thanks to everybody for joining us today. Special thank you for our speakers and for Ricardo helping us with the Q&A. We hope that you enjoyed the session, and we hope to see you soon again. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon and take a good care. Bye.